Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and I really did not want to make this video. I've actually been actively avoiding it for years, but now my hand has been forced. There is a person and a group of people that have been trying to put my life and my family's lives in danger while also spreading misinformation while also digging up some of my greatest traumas. I'm warning you now, this video will be a tough watch, and every serious claim that I make will be attached to a piece of evidence. I am not here to badmouth or slander anyone. I am simply here to teach people about the situation and what I've been dealing with behind the scenes of PokeMMO for years now. The main person in question today, alongside a few others, have done some horrible things in the community, but please do not direct any hate towards them. Any hate directed towards them from anyone in my community will be banned from my Discord, my streams, and my YouTube comments. We are not them. We can rise above the vitriol. And if there was ever one Patrouski video that you need to watch in full for all of the context, please let it be this one. Someone by the name of Official Darku has been harassing me and my community behind the scenes for over 2 years now. I have been dealing with all of it quietly in the background and just tanking it because I thought that avoiding drama would be better for the community, as well as maybe if I ignored it, he would go away. And unfortunately, ignoring him has not worked. Him and his small group of followers have only gotten more and more aggressive, and I have let these bullies get away with their behind-the-scenes onslaught of the community full of false allegations with zero evidence, flagrant name-calling, and now doxing. These people have attacked me, my friends, my wife, and even random innocent PokeMMO players like yourself. You see, at first, I didn't think it was a big deal. Darku just badmouthed me a little bit in the PokeMMO official Discord, saying things like how I pumped out videos with complete misinformation and clickbait titles with no evidence to back up his claims or any examples. He also said that I wanted more CCs or content creators, but blocked content creators. Now, this was a legitimate misunderstanding that I later ironed out with some of these other content creators because their YouTube comments weren't coming through when they would leave a comment, and that led them to assume that I had blocked them. Which was not the case. You see, what was happening was that my comments were being flooded with Telegram scams at the time, which are very common on YouTube. One of the most common emojis these scam bots would use is the celebration confetti emoji. So I ended up banning that emoji from my comments, and it worked. It stopped almost all of the Telegram scams. However, occasionally a legitimate viewer would leave a comment saying congratulations on a shiny or something like that and write in a confetti emoji. They would try to leave their comment, it wouldn't work, and they would assume that they were banned. Now, this mistake, to my knowledge, only happened with one other content creator where they tried to leave a message, it didn't send, and they assumed that they were banned. Now, that content creator and Darku could have reached out to me with this concern. My Discord DMs have been and always will be open. But instead, he stewed on this minor misconception for months, which I really feel like began his hatred towards me. And that's one of the saddest parts of all, is that I feel like this snowball happened from a misconception and from assuming instead of just reaching out to someone and asking what's going on. Now, this kind of talk was annoying, but it wasn't inherently that bad. He was really just sharing his opinion of me, even though it was a misinformed one, and that's what really frustrated me. But whatever, he's just sharing his feelings with no sources. That's probably fine, right? Well, no, it turns out it wasn't a one-off occurrence. He was constantly bad-talking me anytime anyone would bring up my name in the official PokeMMO Discord server. He would say things like, don't click clickbait wrong info guides, referring to my content, and the people were smart enough to notice. People even said, like sheep, you gotta settle down when someone else likes Patrouski. The PokeMMO community was smart enough to notice that every time my name was mentioned, he would say something rude. You can like or dislike whatever you want, but you don't need to comment every single time when someone brings something up that you dislike. It seemed like his goal was to try to tear me down while thinking that this was a way to build himself up. He would say things like, I was the wrong content creator to watch. He was developing a community of players who cared more about hating on me than playing the game. They would shame you if you agreed with my opinions. When new players would join the Discord who had found out about the game from my YouTube channel, they would say things like, that's so sad that Patrouski has the most subscribers. Hashtag DarkuFam. Those new players would obviously be like, why are you hating? Like, why can't we watch both? His viewers and fans would say things like, Darku keeps it real, doesn't try to cause drama to get more views and cause more trouble. People should watch him, not Patrouski. Now, I need you to know that I know I'm not the best PokeMMO content creator, okay? There are some amazing people out there, people like Spidget, people like Epoch, people like Beryl, people like Zemnadine, making some amazing content. You don't need to tear me down to build these other amazing content creators up. If people just preferred to watch Darku, that's awesome. But I hated this comparison game. I hated this every time that you had to watch another creator, it was because you had to hate Patrouski. There's nothing wrong with just preferring another creator. Everybody has different styles, different vibes, different personalities. and different ways that we present information. I personally believe that Darku built up this fake rivalry in his head when, keep in mind, I had never heard of him before at this point. I did not know his name. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I would come to learn his name from his amazing guides later on. But just to give you a glimpse into his mind and what he was going through mentally when I did not know that he existed, and he was saying things like, good thing that he has competition, and his community disparaging my videos. He even went on to tell people to type -Patrouski in the YouTube search bar to hurt my algorithm and delete my videos from the feed. This is not someone competing. This is someone trying to have a hostile takeover. Now, this all deeply irritated me, but at the end of the day, he was just insulting me on the internet. What are you going to do about it? I grew up on the internet, I get it. But that's when he would go on to insult my community, saying things like, the sheep will follow, referring to anyone who watches my guides as sheep. He built this narrative that if you watch Patrouski videos, you are a less than player in PokeMMO. AKA, if you didn't watch him specifically, you were a noob, and he looked down upon you. Now, this really irked me, because now you're not just attacking me, you're attacking innocent, new PokeMMO players. So, what did I do next? Did I take these screenshots public and nuke this person from existence? A person who was clearly trying to badmouth me to grow his own channel? No, I DM'd him in private to squash the beef. I reached out to Darku and I said, hey man, I wanted to reach out because I've been seeing a lot of negativity in the PokeMMO official Discord aimed towards me from you and members of your community, and here are some examples. If you have issues with my content, that's totally okay, and I appreciate feedback, but small potshots like this don't help anyone. I've also noticed an issue with you and members of your community falsely claiming that I block you and other small content creators, once again sourcing my example and evidence. This is just not true. I've never blocked you on any platform, and I'm unsure what made you come to this conclusion. I'm really sorry it got to this point, and I've never had any issues with you personally. Until recently, I've had friends and strangers DMing me saying that you were saying hateful and negative things about me in the public PokeMMO Discord. My content is absolutely not perfect and not immune from criticism, but please, in the future, if you feel like a video is missing something or got something wrong, please leave a comment, DM me on social media, or DM me on Discord. You can always reach out to me and let me know as opposed to letting it devolve into personal attacks. I love PokeMMO, and I want to share the fun of this game that it has to offer with as many people as possible. And the more content creators we have, the better that achieves that goal. I really care about and I really appreciate smaller PokeMMO content creators, and I know for a fact that one day there will be a better one which surpasses me. I am just a small stepping stone in PokeMMO's history. If your goals are the same, then I think we should try to work something out and bring people up and not down. Below are even more examples of him belittling other people for watching my content that I couldn't even fit into this video elsewhere. Darku then responds very responsibly, letting me know that he got home drunk and wants to talk about it tomorrow. This was a very cool and based decision. I was really excited to potentially squash the beef with him so easily and just move on. So how did he respond? Maybe a quick apology and saying something like he's really competitive and just kind of ran away with things. That would be totally fair. Nope. Instead, he said that every single example was out of context and he was actually the victim in all of this. Really? All 10 plus times you have badmouthed me over months of chat logs, all of it is out of context? He did not apologize nor take responsibility for anything. He just tried to explain himself out of the situation with cute emotes and clearly trying to make jokes, laughing the whole thing off. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes out of context stuff does happen, or you just make a mistake, a joke that went too far. It's not a big deal. You can just apologize and move on. But me and my wife literally read through all of the context. We read through all of the Discord logs. We saw everything. This was dozens of examples over months of time. This was clearly a pattern, not one-off examples of a mistake happening. Darku says, as for the content creator beef part in personal attacks, ? Not even admitting that he's given me personal attack. Once again, the same guy who called me the wrong content creator and called anybody who watched me a sheep. He then says, there is none I publicly talked about other than what I've said above for the beef. Now that's a very weird way to word that. He's basically saying, yeah, I did shit talk you, but it's only the examples you've given me, which is also not the case. I later on provide more examples. But he won't address that. Keep in mind, every time I show him hard evidence of him doing something wrong, he will try to divert and talk about something else. For example, he goes on to say that behind closed doors, I did come to the realization that another content creator and friend of mine, although I've done nothing but help the guy, he removed me for literally no reason other than being close to you / in your team. Which, I mean, again, nothing said to or from you, but that's about it. To sum this up, because the wording is very confusing, he's complaining about another friend of mine who unfriended him in-game because he wouldn't stop shit-talking me on stream and in public forums. This person unfriended him because of his own actions. However, Darku has this pattern of suffering the consequences of his own actions and then shifting the blame to someone else. He also went on to say that the person Jewel in the Discord is 110% not a part of his community. Well, that's strange. Why are they saying things like people should watch you and not me? I don't know why they've started spewing stuff, but they also used to say nasty things about me as well. Me and my wife could not find a single example of that being true. And once again, Darku does not provide any evidence or any examples for his own case. He is all operating off of feelings and vibes. And he's just going to keep doing stuff like this. He's just going to keep making himself the victim by saying things that I've had really nasty messages and dislikes from your sides. I'd say around 7 people as of recently just spew nasty stuff to me or mass dislike my content simply because it's not Pat. Now, if this is true, that's really bad. And I always tell anyone in my community to never do this. And if I catch you doing it, you get banned. But once again, all of this shit talk, but not a single example or shred of evidence. He also can't know that people are disliking his content from my community. He's just assuming that. Once again, creating a fight in his head. I'm not sure how you feel about me, to be honest. I don't know if you have something against me or if we're okay. I did not know who he was prior to this conversation. I just want you to know that for real, I do not hate you, and I even support you. I don't know how he can say this with a straight face when he's telling people to type -Patrouski in YouTube to hurt my search algo. Now, I tried to respond as non-confrontational and as understanding as possible. Hey man, thank you for taking the time to reply and waiting until today. And sorry to bug you while you were out last night. Now back to the first point of the guy with his hands on his hip. Little pot shots like this would be fine without any other context, but instead, you constantly talk negative about me, and as it stands, I think it makes it look like you have beef with me, whether you do or not. When you talk in a public Discord like this, how other people perceive it matters 100% more than the intent, and that is something that both of us should be aware of. Addressing the blocks, neither you or Minish, the other content creator in question, are blocked. Once again, I provide a screenshot for evidence. I went through my hidden user list on YouTube. I have these phrases blocked to prevent spam and scam bots, as they are a huge problem on YouTube. Once again, more evidence and screenshots. Neither of you are blocked, and I would really appreciate if you would communicate this stuff to me in the future if you think you're blocked, instead of assuming and putting a bad taste in people's mouth when it wasn't the case. I don't see you as an in-my-way content creator, and it disappoints me that I feel like you assumed the most malicious position of me possible instead of confronting me directly so we could resolve this issue. Regarding the misinformation stuff, I take correct information really seriously. I'm always going to get stuff wrong, but that doesn't mean that it can't get corrected or improved upon. If you can call out any examples of misinformation, I would really appreciate it. When people point out things that are incorrect in my comments or DMs, I almost always pin a comment, or I've even deleted videos in the past that were mistakenly false or outdated. I've seen you claim this multiple times with no reference to what specific piece of information or video you are referring to. Please link me a video with timestamps on parts where you think I am wrong in the future. As for the personal attacks, I've had multiple random people who didn't even watch me previously come into my stream and be like, hey man, what's your beef with Darku? Which I responded, what? And multiple people on occasion have linked me clips of you saying things like, Pat never raids anybody, except for blank. And unfortunately, I don't have that full screenshot, but he basically goes on to complain that I'm only raiding one other PokeMMO content creator and not himself. I love raiding people on Twitch. I love trying to help people find new content creators that they'll love. However, I don't need to do that, number one, and I can't raid everybody. Complaining about this like this is like if you worked as a waitress at a restaurant and then you yelled at your fellow waitresses because they made more money on tips than you that night. It's a weird level of jealousy to project your inward frustrations as opposed to working on your own craft or content. But back to our DMs. This is me still talking to him. As for the community attack point, Jewel constantly praises and recommends your videos and ats you when to join and when talking bad about other people. That's just the perception that I get when scrolling through the PokeMMO official Discord. And you might notice how often I leave qualifiers and I open myself up to being wrong because I know how incorrect I can be. I say things like, maybe I'm misperceiving something. Maybe they are bad-mouthing you equally on other platforms. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt every step of the way. If I ever see anyone badmouth another content creator, whether I like them or not, I shut it down. And if you've seen any of my other fans badmouthing any other content creator, please let me know. This is an absolute grounds to remove them from my community. I know it can be annoying dealing with some of my over-enthusiastic fans who constantly link my stuff or praise me, but I am just a guy who likes the game and likes making videos about it. However, please don't try to balance that out by being overly negative or trying to fight against me. If you can ever show me nasty messages or people saying stuff like your content isn't good just because it's quote unquote it's not Pat, that's horrible. And if they're in my community, I deeply apologize and I will ban them from any platform. No one needs to be tearing others down to be able to grow. I don't want this to be a back and forth issue. I would just like you to stop talking so negatively about me and continue to build your own brand and channel. I want to see you grow. I want both of us to shut down any negativity towards any content creators when we see it and bring criticism directly and kindly to each other. Thanks for reading this and talking this out with me. I know it's not easy. I just felt like it was finally time to address this. His response to all of this is once again to deflect and say he's never heard of someone named Green Cat Kid. Any claims that were irrefutably true against him, he simply ignored. He didn't apologize. He didn't acknowledge. He just sticks on the point of, I don't know who that is. And for reference, I thought that I didn't have the screenshot of the conversation, but shout out to Darku for actually screenshotting it for me. People were saying, he was saying stuff in clips from what I was told, and I actually want to qualify a mistake of my own here in a quick sec. I heard that he was saying things like, Pat never raids anybody except Green Cat Kid, Pat's community is all babies, and my community is just too edgy for him. I wouldn't want the raid anyway. And this is where my patience really thinned, and I made a big mistake. I said, dude, I've seen the clip, even though I hadn't seen the clip, to be 100% honest with you. I had good trusted friends of mine send me Twitch clips and saying, hey, he was saying these things about you and quoting him, and I refused to watch the clips because that stuff hurts my feelings, to be honest with you. The information is important, but I didn't need to hear the horse's mouth saying it. So I told a white lie and told him that I've seen the clip in the hopes that he would acknowledge and admit his mistake and skip massive looping parts of the conversation. But once again, that clip was just one shred of evidence among a plethora of evidence pieces against Darku. I shouldn't have lied about it. That was dumb, and I was trying to take a shortcut. I was hoping that it would force him to acknowledge some sort of wrongdoing on his end. But he just refused. He kept bringing up, who is Green Cat Kid? I don't know who that is, which is often a slight you hear when you try to purposefully say you don't know someone. I don't know if that's what's happening here. I can't make a claim for certain. But based on his other behaviors, it leans towards that direction most likely, but I don't know for sure. And at this point, I am losing my patience. I'm saying at the end of the day, you can deny everything. But from this point forward, I just want you to stop publicly bashing me. No more being negative to any other content creators. And he says, again, Pat, the stuff I've said that reflects badly was already posted by you above, and I've addressed the reasons. He just explained everything away. Apologies if it comes off bad. Once again, he's not being bad. It just comes off bad. I never went out of my way to say something bad. Once again, I don't know how he can say this with a straight face after calling anybody who watches me a sheep, calling me the wrong content creator, and saying that all of my guides are misinformation and clickbait. He almost accepts something here when he says, reading what Jewel has put over the last few days, that's fair, but I can 110% confirm you that they are not in my groups, and in fact, we clash a lot. They lie a ton in that Discord, and it's usually me calling them out. Once again, no evidence, no examples. I don't know if this is true. I really don't like being called a liar, though. We have already caught him blatantly lying multiple times. If you could show me the Green Cat clip, that would be nice, because the only time a raid with you has been mentioned when I ended my stream and my chat didn't want to go to your stream. Once again, he is building a community solely off of people that hate me. I just said fine, but I never once said anything like edgy or about Green Cat. Once again, still no idea who that person is. I'm not trying to play dumb either. Like, they're not in the private server either, so I really don't know a Green Cat. I do watch your videos, but I've not been joining your streams for a minute due to that blocking. Once again, I showed him he was not blocked. I'm now going to start flicking through a lot of the DMs a lot quicker because we basically just go back and forth. I came to him with accusations, and all he has done is deflect responsibility and divert by trying to say that my community is after him, and he was actually mentally having a really hard time. Now, that would be really sad if it were at all true and he literally had any evidence. You might also notice that in a lot of these DMs, I'm providing all of the evidence to my claims, whereas Darku is constantly just sharing his feelings. And I'm trying to accept those at every turn because I understand how important that is, but I just end up comforting him along the way at every turn, even though I came to him with accusations. This is unfortunately, in my opinion, classic abuser 101. Whenever anyone brings claims against you, play the victim, deflect, divert with no facts or evidence. Do not accept their emotions, do not accept their reality, do not validate them. Darku will say things like, I'm positive towards other content creators in the face of all the other evidence we've shown here today. This is a genuine delusion. He thinks he's doing one thing, but in fact, he's doing another. But that's okay. all of this is okay, because if you don't like someone, you don't interact with them. That's always been my rule. So I tell them we should just agree to disagree and not badmouth each other in the future moving forward. All right, awesome. Drama avoided. I also want to drop this in really quick here and be very, very clear that if you don't like me, that is totally fine. There are plenty of reasons to dislike me. I'm brash, abrasive, loud, I can be harsh, I'm arguably annoying, and my editing is terrible, which makes my videos boring to a lot of people. I get it. Not everyone is going to like me, and it would be really fucking weird if they did, in my opinion. But please, if you dislike me, just don't watch my content. And don't constantly talk about me in public or try to plot my downfall in private Discord servers. It's just better for everyone. Your time is more valuable than to waste it hating on me. All right, drama avoided, video over, PogChamp? Not quite. You see, Darku messages me around 7 months later out of the blue. Does anybody want to take a guess at what he said? Maybe an apology? Maybe someone is harassing him and he wants my help? No, he actually asked me to raid him. In the message directly after our conversation, where he called anyone who watches me a sheep and took no responsibility for any of his actions, the next message is to ask for a raid. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot write this any more blatant. And for the record, the reason he asked for a raid is because he said that he heard his voice at the end of my stream, which was because Twitch had introduced a new feature that day to where it autoplayed someone's stream if you went to the game category. So when I went to the PokeMMO category to look for someone to raid, it autoplayed him, which I immediately tried to mute because I still had unresolved issues with him, since he never took accountability and never apologized for all of his shit talk. I genuinely couldn't find the energy to respond to such a request. To ask for a raid after everything he had said about me with no apology didn't sit right with me. So what did he do next? Would you have guessed that he linked me to his own Discord? This person who shit-talked me for months, never apologized, never owned up to anything, was now trying to be the bestest of friends if it meant that he would have a chance at raising his view count. What sucked about this whole thing, and looking back, it's the saddest part of it all, is that I genuinely think Darku was a good content creator. I genuinely think he made good videos and good guides, especially around the Halloween time. His Wisp guide was genuinely really helpful to the community and much clearer, much more succinct, and much better than my guide. So I kept my mouth shut about what was happening behind the scenes because I thought it was better for everyone. I now know that I was wrong and I should have faced this bully head on from the start. We now jump to October 2024, where I found out he was badmouthing me again in public discords, which you may notice happened again this year in 2025. You see, he has a habit of doing things right around the event season in PokeMMO 3 years in a row because it is the most active time for PokeMMO. If anyone ever drops big drama during event season, you can almost always bet it's people with ulterior motives. These are people just trying to cash in on the influx of players and viewers in the PokeMMO space during event season. They aren't here year-round trying to make interesting and creative content and keep the game engaging with things like Iron Man mode, or things like Shiny Wars, like other teams and other people have done, or community events, like having a Safari Zone catch event every weekend. There are a lot of beautiful people in the PokeMMO space, and I want to shout out those people and raise them up. But before we can build others up, we have to stop people from trying to tear others down. But anyways, I recall him badmouthing me again, and I reached out to him with what I believe was a new screenshot. But unfortunately, I don't have the screenshot of that evidence, and I cannot confirm nor deny whether what he's saying is true and that it's actually from 2023. I really don't think it was, but I don't have the evidence, so I don't feel comfortable making a 100% claim. And it sucks to hold yourself to a standard that your oppositions aren't holding themselves. These were 2 videos that Darku made back during Shiny Wars accusing players of cheating with zero evidence at all. And the developers actually came out and said they blatantly were not cheating. Darku didn't care. He basically just said fuck them and called them a cheater, even though every piece of evidence was showing him that they weren't. He made a joke video to follow up called I'm Sorry, Cheater Wars of 2025 Part 2, where he basically said fuck you, I'm not apologizing. Continuing his patterns of every time he is shown that he is incorrect, he does not take accountability nor responsibility. He will play the victim every time, every chance he is granted. But anyways, back to our DMs and back to me not being able to confirm nor deny if the shit talk I was talking about was from 2023 or from 2024 because I don't have that evidence. And unfortunately, I cannot check our DMs because Darku and a few other people who may or may not be mentioned in this video have in the past few weeks deleted all of their DMs with me trying to hide this whole thing. They knew that they looked bad, but they wanted to systematically attack me in public and hope that I'd be left with nothing to respond with. Thankfully, there was something deep inside me that knew this day would come eventually. I have never seen someone with such an extreme victim complex and be as deeply delusional as Darku is. So I took screenshots, just in case I would ever need them one day. I have never done anything like that before on my time on the internet. I'm generally not a paranoid person, but I've seen abusive people before, and I could recognize this behavior from a mile away. But let's get back to his response of me coming to him with more screenshots of his potential harassment. He once again played the victim and lied to my face, saying that he never asked for a raid, when it was quite literally the conversation above this one. He should have been able to scroll up. I don't even know if he had to scroll up. It might have been in the same page. But instead, I screenshotted it, I sourced it, and I put it right in front of him. What was his response? To deflect and victimize. Saying things like, kinda sad to bring this stuff up. It's obvious why now it's come up, of course. It's fine, ... Trying to paint it as though I was bringing up this drama now around event season to lessen his views versus he was just suffering from the consequences of his own actions yet again. And once again, if I was trying to hurt his view count or hurt him, why would I not take any of this public? Why would I deal with all of this in private? Do you notice how once again we caught him in a lie? He said that I didn't ask for a raid. I provided proof that he did, and he just ignored it. He just didn't acknowledge that he just lied. I respond to that as calmly and nicely as possible, saying, good luck on your PokeMMO content creation. I think you're an asset to the community. And he responds with a passive-aggressive, I'm sure you do, as to you. I was doing everything I could to keep my composure while talking to this clearly abusive person, a term that I do not use lightly or without evidence, and I hope that I have provided enough clear evidence today to show that Darku is a blatant abuser, at least in his current mental state or in his current mental states back in 2023 and 2024. But you know what? It's been a year or two. Maybe he's turned it around. What's he up to now? Oh yeah, he got socially exiled from the community for retweeting Nazi memes, blatant sexist jokes, and abhorrently racist jokes, while also reciting a common Nazi dog whistle used by Nazi political pundits online. Now luckily, I actually have a background in amateur political debate online, so I'm pretty well versed in this exact talking point, but if you don't know, this is the cookies reference. The cookies reference is meant to bring into question the amount of Jews that were killed in the Holocaust. It is a Holocaust denial tactic. It is a purposeful misinformation tool used by Nazis because it doesn't account for the amount of innocent people killed by firing squad, lethal injection, and those who were killed before even making it to those horrible camps. It is used to make people try to question if the Holocaust ever actually happened and imply that they are lying about the numbers, which is just factually, unequivocally not true, and it is vehemently disgusting and disrespectful to the millions of families and loved ones who were affected by arguably the greatest human tragedy to ever take place. This, in my opinion, is the most damning piece of evidence. We all make edgy jokes, we all make mistakes, we all do dumb things, especially when we're young. Oh, we posted this in June 2025? You mean like 5 months ago? How do I even make a charitable argument for this? Well, the PokeMMO devs got wind of these tweets and Darku lost his content creator role in the official Discord. Well, I actually didn't know this story until I had to do some research to make this video, but he actually told the developers himself. You see, what happened was a moderator of mine in my Discord told people that, hey, we don't really support that content creator here after he posted a video of his in my Discord because of things like this. And he was like, oh, I totally get that, super understandable. Darku thought that he was being discriminated against because a Discord moderator of mine deleted that message with his guide. He was so confident that he was wronged here and that he was being discriminated against that he took it to the developers via a support ticket, and then they took away his content creator role in the official Discord because they didn't want to be associated with him. Now that's a lot. And I also want to say, as someone who's been a full-time PokeMMO content creator for over 4 years now, the PokeMMO content creator role in the Discord basically means nothing. It can be a nice way to get some of your newer content seen if you're just starting out, but it's such a minimal thing at the end of the day. If I lost my content creator role over making this video, I would totally understand, and I don't see it as a big deal at all. How did Darker react to losing his content creator role in the Discord? By banning everyone he disagrees with, of course, including the PokeMMO staff, and he would say things like the PokeMMO staff has been eradicated after banning them. He was putting on a show and publicly talking about every single person that he banned from his Discord. Now, he banned a ton of people this day, but I think mine might be the funniest. His reasoning for banning me was that we don't want to associate with other content creators who share gay serial killer stuff. For reference, the gay serial killer stuff in question was a meme format where I used a Jeffrey Dahmer meme format when that TV show was out with a Swampletics video. When he uses the word gay next to serial killer, that also implies that he thinks being gay is just as bad as being a serial killer. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep my composure for this video, and I actually don't want this video to be an emotional thing. I want it to be a genuine, real, productive critique. But he is making it hard for me. I am sorry. His other claim was things like, don't kill yourself, OnlyFans girls, and extra stuff like over-sexualized tweets. Quick trigger warning for an unattractive dad bod. This is the over-sexualized tweet he's referring to. This was once again a riff on a meme format where the guy says, no, don't kill yourself, you're so sexy, aha. And I posted this because OnlyFans was shutting down at the time. I'm truly honored, Darku, that you find that so over-sexualizing. So, Darku bans a ton of people from his Discord publicly and quits the game over this situation. Okay, but that's totally fine. He's not doing well. I feel for him. That sucks. At least he's not my problem anymore. He's out of Pokeyen. Oh, he's doxing me while trying to make a name for himself in a different Pokemon MMO community. Well, fuck, man. If you didn't literally try to dox me, you could have gotten away with all of this, probably. Like, this is some real Scooby-Doo type shit. I let you get away with all of this harassment, all of these problems for 2 years. I never said publicly anything about you. But you had to stoop to the lowest of the low of internet attacks and put me and my loved ones in danger. Which, by the way, Scott, is very illegal in the United Kingdom. So I'm asking you nicely to please stop talking about me from this point forward, or I will be taking legal action. The same goes for anyone continuing to harass, share my personal information, or attempting to harm me or my loved ones. Please feel free to make critique videos. It is better for myself and the community when people have checks and balances. I don't want good faith actors to be scared off and think that I'm going to come after them. Once again, it literally took an aggressive doxing to hundreds or potentially thousands of people before I ever made a public response. So just don't break the law or needlessly harass me with no points or evidence, and we'll all be chilling. Now, for the reason that many of you are here today, and easily the hardest part of the video for me personally, the way that Darku doxed me was by releasing a court case file with my full legal name in it, with the case type saying domestic abuse. And this is where things really start to suck, because everyone is going to see domestic abuse and assume that I beat my wife, who is the greatest angel this world has ever known. Now this is where things get serious. Because Darku was almost right about one thing. Statistically, I should beat my wife. Do you know how much the odds go up of being physically abusive when you yourself grew up getting beaten? Do you know how much the odds of being physically abusive go up when you are severely bipolar? Do you know how much the odds of being physically abusive go up if you have a violent past with severe anger issues? A fucking shit ton, Darku. And I have beaten all of them. My whole life has been beating statistics. I have stayed out of prison, unlike some of my peers. I am alive to this day, unlike some of my peers. I have never resorted to dealing drugs like so many of my friends did. I have led a battered and a bruised life, and yet I still have never laid a finger on my dear wife or any partner I have ever been with, and I never will. I never let my upbringing break me entirely. I was lucky enough to be given a chance to rebuild. You see, I am deeply aware of how flawed I am. I think about it every night before I go to bed and every morning in the shower. I can try to control my flaws to the best of my ability, but they will still leak out to a point. And I will make mistakes. And I will hurt people every single day, unfortunately. but I will also try very, very hard to make up for those mistakes and to apologize to those that I've hurt. But when I hurt people, Darku, it's on accident. I've never seen someone have such premeditated anger and want to hurt someone in the way that I've seen you try to hurt me and others. But back to the charge, because there is a charge, and it's one of my greatest shames and also my greatest traumas. I have to do a little bit of a lore dump here, and some of you may be aware of my past, and some of you may not. This is a quick trigger warning for a bit of a trauma dump, but I'm only going to include stuff that's important context that led up to this moment in my life. I am skipping over a ton of stuff. I grew up in a very violent household. My dad left when I was 10, and my mom, under the stress of now being a single parent to 3 children, which she would later on admit she never wanted kids, started beating me when I was 11 years old. I was diagnosed with severe type 2 bipolar when I was 12. At first, the abuse started off light, a quick smack to the face, followed up by a tear-felt apology. But then it got worse over the years. There were many times where my mom was cooking dinner, and she would strain the pasta noodles and then smack me in the head with the still hot and wet pan. I had a cut on the back of my neck from when she grabbed my collar and once slammed and choked me on the ground. This cut was 6 inches long and about 1/3 of an inch deep. It most likely needed stitches, but I was too ashamed to go get them and explain how me and my mom were fighting almost every night. So I just skipped school until it healed. I have a small scar on the front left of my chin from when she punched me in the jaw, and one of her rings caught my face and left a nice gash. My beard can't grow over this scar, so every time I look in the mirror, I remember my abuse. I grew up fighting. Everyone in my family fought physically almost every night for years. And sometimes, to be honest with you, I was the villain. Sometimes I was the bad guy, and I would pick fights with my siblings or annoy my mother until she would hit me just so I could get some kind of attention. I have made a lot of really bad mistakes in my life, and I owe my siblings a great debt for continuing the abuse that my mom taught me and taking away some of their childhood. Even though I was still a kid myself, I still hurt people in a way that will affect them for their entire life, and that's my responsibility. It is something I think about every day, every morning in the shower. I think about how can I work hard today to right some of my wrongs. But anyways, let's get back to the night of the charge. You might have noticed the date, 2016, 9 years ago. I was 18 years old. I got into a fight with my mother and brother over a bag of potato chips. As dumb as it sounds, once again, in violent homes like this, we were usually looking for any excuse to tee off. Tensions were also extremely high because my mother was legally evicting me at 18. She had gone to the courts and hand-delivered me the notice. But on the night of the charge, my mom was making dinner, and I wanted a bag of potato chips. We grew up very poor, and often didn't have food in the house, so whenever there was food, it would get eaten very quickly. Now let me be very clear about what happens next, because what I did here was very wrong. I was an extremely defiant and badly behaved kid. I should have just listened to my mother and waited until dinner. But we had years of abusive history at this point, and it had spiraled out of control years ago at this point. So I went to the cabinet, and I went to reach for a bag of potato chips after she had screamed at me not to. She hit me with a wooden spoon in the head and wrestled the bag of potato chips out of my hand. I waited until she went to her room and went back for the bag of potato chips. She came out and wrestled the bag of potato chips out of my hands again, and I still did not react. On the third time of me going for the potato chips, my brother came down the stairs and said something along the lines of being the man of the house and punched me in the jaw. My head hit the kitchen cabinet behind me, and I was dazed. He punched me again in the mouth. Now, I had not fought back or swung at anyone at this point, and that's really important because I knew that I couldn't. I knew that I was getting evicted soon, and I knew that my mother was looking for any excuse to kick me out of the house. We have just always had a rocky relationship, to put it lightly. So I did not swing back yet after getting punched in the face twice and getting my head knocked into the cabinet, and I genuinely consider that to be one of the most physically self-restrained moments of my life. I was shaking with rage. Instead, I asked him to please move so I could go upstairs and eat the chips. Once again, I should have just put down the bag of chips. I am the instigator here. My brother tried to punch me again, this time in the stomach, and that's when I blocked his hand and he realized he was in danger. He ran away, and I smacked him on the back, leaving a big red mark. The police were called, as they were on many other occasions growing up in this household, and I got booked with domestic violence charge because he had a mark on him and I did not. I shouldn't have hit him. I should have just put the chips down and walked away. But I didn't, And I'm genuinely ashamed of that, even though many people will see me as the victim in this situation. I truly was not. I was a violent and antagonizing kid in many ways, and I could have prevented the situation from the start. You may understand me, but please do not excuse my bad behavior. I got into fights all the time growing up, but never with anyone outside of my family. Not exactly a statement you would normally be proud of, but I am. I've never laid a hand on a partner, or a classmate, or a colleague, or anything. So please, see me for who I am. A deeply flawed person who made it out of a shitty situation, who will still continue to go on and make mistakes from this day forward. But please, don't be misinformed by drama farmers online. It sucks that in this situation, since Darku docked so much of my personal information, there's a lose-lose situation for me. I can either come on and share all these details like I have done today and try to refute it and rebuild that reputation, or just let him misinform people in the background and try not to worry about it. I tried to not worry about it for 2 years, and it has not been working. So that's why, unfortunately, I feel like I had to make today's video. My endgame goal is to be an example of how people with some of the worst backgrounds can go on to be incredible assets to society, and that's all I really want to do at the end of the day. I just want to help people in any way that I can, even if that way is just teaching people how to make a few more Pokeyen in a niche fan-made game. And sometimes I lose my way, and I yell at a chatter, or 2, or 3, or 4. I really got to stop yelling at Twitch chat. And for every mistake that I will inevitably make, I hope that I go apologize quickly and sincerely. And if not, please feel free to reach out to me. As I have demonstrated many times over the years, I never want anyone to be personally attacked by myself or anyone in the community. I'm so incredibly lucky to be given a second, third, or arguably even fourth chance at life. I know many others who grew up in similar instances who weren't so lucky. And if any of you watching also grew up in similar situations, I hope that you're doing okay, and I need you to know that you are loved. If things aren't so good right now, they will get better, I promise you that. Now that we've all gotten to know each other way too closely, can we go back to playing PokeMMO, please? I do actually want to go ahead and use this time that I would normally use as my outro, just to say how lucky I am to be in the position that I am in the PokeMMO community. The amount of nice messages that I get in-game alone every day is unbelievable. It's something that literally is hard for me to fathom, and I don't think it's real. It'll really hit me until I one day retire. The amount of people that reach out to me to let me know that something was happening in the background and offer their emotional support and talk me through every step of the way of this situation. I was literally paralyzed with fear and anxiety for weeks recently over this whole situation. The doxing really was the climax to everything, but I've received more violent and vehement hate messages than I've ever seen before online, and I've been on the internet for a very, very long time. But we're just reaching a point where there are a few people who are developing a community dedicated towards hating on me versus actually creating content. This video was incredibly hard to make for me, and it would have been impossible without the amazing people that I've been lucky enough to stumble into in my community and the fucking beautiful PokeMMO community. For every one of these troubled individuals, there are 10,000 amazing PokeMMO players out there, which is why I put off making this video for so long. But now this group of people is attacking other innocent creators and other innocent PokeMMO content creators as well, making baseless accusations, or utilizing misinformation and cropped information to paint a narrative that doesn't exist in reality. This kind of content almost always pops up once again during event season. It is people trying to clout farm and get as much attention as possible. So here you go. Here's your attention. I hope it was worth it. But I want my final point to be a positive one, because I get way more private messages that are you guys going out of your way to show kindness than I do ever negative private messages. The real ones lurk in the shadows, and I appreciate you guys deeply. The PokeMMO community is truly something fucking special. A special group of people who just happen to find the perfect niche for them in this lifetime, and we get to enjoy it with everyone else doing the same things, and it's just downright beautiful to me. Thank you for spending this moment of your life with me, and thank you for being a part of PokeMMO history alongside me.